Yo, it's me, T Peters. Um, Welcome. If you're watching this, this is the Wire for Music webinar. I'm currently with an amazing group of young people, my colleagues, my teammates. We're making an event called a live band jam session. So we're just in the office right now, and I invited a legendary human called Sabrina Li. Um, she I met her at university, but over time I found her to be one of the most hardworking networkers, making friends with everybody, super charming. She's a music manager. She helped me out for a bit. She helped Emmavie out, who's a super songstress in the UK, and a whole bunch of other people that she's helped manage. And I know that she's just very, very versatile in this music industry. She has a lot of skills that she has on offer. And currently, she's working at the distribution company in LA called Two Lost. Um, but she's going to tell you a bit more about that. This is a stream just kind of about finding out what it's like getting into the music industry and also kind of what it's like being in it. So I'm sure she's got a lot of knowledge to give, but I'm gonna let her speak, and I'm gonna add her in now.
Yo,
Yeah, how was my
yeah.
intro? Was that
Oh
cool?
yeah, your intro was very flattering. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Savina, tell me a bit about yourself and your background in or outside of music.
For sure. So I grew up in Hong Kong and lived in the Philippines for a bit, and then I moved to the UK for university. That's where I met T. Was there for in the UK for like 6, 7 years. And I always kind of knew that I wanted to be in the music industry. I didn't really know what that meant at the time, especially growing up in Hong Kong. Like the world I was in, is very corporate. Um, there isn't really a creative space there, but I just knew that I knew I had to do something to do with music. Went to university and that kind of like concreted everything. I started meeting people with the same taste in music as me, and I was like, oh, I'm not crazy for having this like niche in whatever music that I was passionate about. And then after I graduated, I moved back to Hong Kong where some of my family were. And I was like, okay, I need to try and finesse my way into LA. I feel like that's where I need to be, especially with the music space that I'm into, like in the alternative R&B space. So I moved back to Hong Kong, try to figure out a way to move to LA, and I found this, UCLA course that allowed me to move to LA and work at the same time while I like, immersed myself into the music space and networked. I moved in 2020, and I literally moved the week that COVID hit really badly in LA. So I was like, okay, damn, I can't afford to stay here if I can't network or work, and I'm just stuck in my room. It doesn't make any sense. So after like a month or 2 months, I moved back to London, where my family are as well. And I was like, okay, like time to get, my foot in the door in the music industry. Like, I'm a new graduate, like there's no time to waste. Like even with the pandemic, I'm like, you know, screw it. Like I'm just gonna shoot my shot. So moved back to London and moved in with my friend, and I was like, okay, what do I do first? So Emmavie has been one of my favorite R&B artists and still is to this day. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna shoot my shot. So I messaged her on Instagram and I was like, hey, Emmavie, like I love your music and I really want to support you. I'm trying to get into the music industry. Like I'd love to, connect with you. And then literally a few hours later, she replied, and I was like freaking out. And I was like, oh my God, what does this mean? And then we ended up connecting, and we hopped on a call, and then we just really hit it off. Like our personalities were like very compatible, and we just hit it off. So we organized to meet a few days later, I think, and then a week later, like since I messaged her the first time, I joined her management team, which was kind of crazy. Um, so that's kind of how I got like my first foot in the door. From there, working with Emmavie, I started, meeting more people in kind of like the soul election alternative R&B space. I started joining more management teams, and just like as soon as Emmavie replied to me, it just like it triggered something in me. I was like, oh, I can just message everyone that I want in the music industry that I want to connect with, especially because it's the pandemic and people have time to reply. So I made a list of everyone that I wanted to connect with, and I just messaged everyone on Instagram. I just slid into everyone's DMs. Um, and I, started connecting with more people. I started working on management teams like this guy called Devin Tracy. Started working with him. He's part of was working with selection and stuff. I started working with this guy that was managing another producer at Selection at the time, but now manages Lucky Day. So he's kind of like my mentor in a way. So I've kind of been assisting him and supporting him since the 2020, 2021. So yeah, I started, making more connections in the alternative R&B space, connecting more with people, hopping on more management teams. And then I started building my reputation and my network enough that, when I initially my plan was to move back to LA after COVID hit. So I was like, okay, let me make all of these connections with people in LA so that when I move back to LA, which I did a year and a half later, I can just hit the ground running and just like expand my network even more and just like meet more people like as soon as I landed. So a year and a half later flies by and then I moved back to LA. So that was 2021-ish. Yeah, and then I connected with this management team a while back. Started working, they hired me as like a freelancer as a project manager for this guy called Frank Dukes, who's like a multi-Grammy winning producer. He's worked with like Drake, Post Malone, The Weeknd, like everyone, Kendrick, J. Cole, everyone that you can think of. So that was really exciting. And then, my mentor at the time started full-time managing Lucky Day, so I started getting more looped into supporting him and his Lucky Days team. And then yeah, and then wait, I'm like forgetting my life. What else happened? I so now I'm working at a distribution company called Two Loss. So I'm the senior product manager, which basically means I help artists with their marketing and the rollout and releases. So everything that I would do as an artist manager is what I kind of channel back into this position and learning about the distribution side and the back end of stuff as well. So that's me now.
Cool, cool, cool. So, fam, you had a lot happen, fam. I thought I
I
knew
know.
everything. Like, like a little movie, fam. Yeah, nah, that's interesting. I can see people have joined, some people have joined the live stream as well. So if you are here, feel free to say hello.
Hello.
But and load up your questions as well because there'll be a Q&A. But
Okay,
you lot as
sick.
well can have questions as well. But all right, cool. Let's talk about networking firstly,
For
because to
sure.
me that's the main thing I know you for right now. Because
Yeah.
personally, like one of the people that just taught me that it's just cool just to say hello to people and just be nice and just like make friends in the industry and then turn them into the people that you end up having becoming your peers and your colleagues basically. And like over COVID, I remember you used to just go to bare Zoom calls, all of these webinars every day. Like, yo, T, I'm joining this call, and it's like there'll be like a thousand people, but no one knows about it, and it was sick. And I just wanted to know, like, one, how did you find all of these opportunities, and also like, what was your approach to kind of joining them? Like, why? What did you want to get out of doing that in the beginning?
I think initially, like when you're kind of, curious about the music industry and it's kind of like a sector that you want to learn more about and work in potentially, you just have to do as much as you can to learn about the industry. So like I was educating myself, I was reading a lot of books, and like, I was kind of researching, different people's positions, different labels, companies, and like cold emailing or reaching out to them on LinkedIn, Instagram, and being like literally with no intention of like finding work for myself, but just with the intention of starting a seed, like a relationship, or just learning about what they did in the industry. Because the more you know about people's positions, at least because I wanted to join the business side, the easier it is to kind of figure out what lane of the business side that you want to work on. So you end up connecting with A&Rs, you end up connecting with like artist managers, people on the publishing side, distribution side, all of that. And you kind of get to understand what they do in their day to day, the different tasks. And then, you can, initially, like I wanted to be like an A&R, I guess, on the publishing side. But then I realized I actually like I do A&R as it is like being an artist manager. But A&R on the publishing side, like once you hear about the day to day that they do, I guess is not exactly what I want to do. So it's like, initially like work connecting with people in the industry space is like just they are so open. The right people will be open to sharing their journey and their experiences. So even if people, don't reply to you, like don't take that personally because there are some people, that you get a range of different personalities in the industry, but I really feel like good people find good people. So it's like if you put yourself out there with genuine and authentic energy of wanting to get to know them and, potentially if you connect with them really well and you're like, oh, actually, I feel like our personalities really match. Like that could be a seed for you to like supporting them and supporting their careers, just like having an open mind about like wanting to help everyone that, you, I guess, see yourself in. You're like, if you're like, oh, like I kind of see myself having a position like that, or, I really look up to this person. Just like go out and help them with whatever. Like, um, just be open minded and be real and be like a genuine person. And I feel like you'll meet good people along the way, and those people that you meet that actually make effort with you are people that end up, wanting to support your career as well. So it works both ways, I guess.
Cool. So basically, don't be a waste, man. Be nice to people. Come with good energy when you're meeting people, and most likely you'll find the right people for you. But also, I got like making sure that you're finding out what people are doing in the jobs that you actually want to do. So like, yeah, it's like the publishing thing. I mean, what did you find? Like, what? No offense to the publishing, man, but like,
Oh no, yeah, no offense to publishing.
what was you feeling? Like, what was the life? What's that lifestyle versus the lifestyle that you're aiming for or currently living?
Wait, say that again.
I said, what was the lifestyle difference between, or should I say, the business professional lifestyle difference between what you wanted to do and what you ended up doing now?
Oh, you know what? I One of the things that really stuck to me, um, when I met, I think she was the head of A&R at Sony ATV. She was like the first thing that you end up doing in the music industry is usually what like ends up being what you're supposed to do. And at that point, I was so kind of, new to the industry space. I was open-minded about everything. I was like, okay, like let me see if I want to get into, being a label, distribution, whatever. But because I initially just fell into artist management, I feel like that was my, I guess, calling in a way for the music industry because I was like, I wanted to work as closely with artists as I could. And those were the kind of skills that I ended up acquiring being an artist manager. Like, you just never know. Like, um, but yeah, that was one of the things that stuck to me because I remember thinking, like, oh no, like, I don't want to be an artist manager. But like, actually, I ended up falling in love with it. So it all kind of is a surprising, I guess, journey.
Yeah, that's fair. Um, cool. I want to push on to the point, yeah, where there was two transition points in your life that you mentioned that I can think of. One was leaving uni and then deciding that you're
Mm.
gonna spend time getting into the music industry properly. Because what was you studying? I know you weren't doing music. Was it
Yeah, I was
sociology?
doing, yeah, yeah, I was doing sociology. And my intention was, even when I was like 14, 15, I knew I wanted to be in the music industry, but like, like I wanted to satisfy, not even satisfy, but like, obviously I'm very blessed to be able to go to university and stuff, but I just wanted to get a degree from a good university so that my parents would be like, okay, like at least, she has a university degree, because like what is music? Like what is that? So yeah, I always, kind of did things on the side or like, in the summers, like during university that like kind of helped curate like a little bit of a music business career. So, every summer I went back home to Hong Kong and even though there wasn't a scene, like I still like try to connect with like even DJs. Like I was a personal assistant for a DJ, a personal assistant to like a music director at like this like music lounge called Potato Head. So I made use of the little that there was. And then, at university, like I, started a society with my friends. very music based. That's how I met T, and help them curate events and stuff, and find artists and help, I guess, spotlight them in a space that was wanting to connect more people that were passionate about music and stuff. So it was always kind of like a slow plot for me, and then I just knew after university, I was like, okay, like I know that I just need to be in LA. Like I just have this strong pull, and I was like, when I get there, I'll figure it out. Like I know for sure, like that's where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah. I felt like Serena's the one to be telling me like, go to LA, go to LA. She was loving LA before she was even there. I don't know if you ever, yeah, like, what about kind of traveling to you? Like, what makes someone go, you know what? I don't want to be here. I want to be there because there's positives and negatives. I mean, from my perspective so far, like every country has their different hub. They all have their own like skill sets as to what they can offer somebody that wants to get into the music industry.
Mhm.
Like, if you want to have a more traditional approach, I heard that I had a chat with someone in Japan. Yeah, and he was saying to me that in Japan they're very traditional with the music. They love their old school hip hop, jazz vibes, etc. So I'm kind of curious, like, one, what made you say LA is the one? If you have it, I know you kind of said that already, but also, what kind of factors should artists have to think about before relocating to another country for music?
Okay. Um, Wait, what was the first question before the artist question?
Oh my gosh, what was the first question? What was my first question again? Oh, yeah. Picking the location, like, what kind of, what should an artist think
Okay,
about
got
when,
you.
yeah.
Okay, well, in terms of, I'll answer the business side first. Like for me, I was in the UK for, when I went back after the first time I moved to LA, I was in London for like a year and a half during the pandemic. And for me, because I guess I grew up a lot more Americanized. Like I know that like my taste in music was very like R&B centric and like not, there's an amazing presence of like so many talented under like R&B artists in London and stuff. But what I started to notice was that they were so underappreciated. And I realized, like all of the people I was working with, like the community was so tight. But I was like, wait a second, like on the business side of things, like why are there not more business people kind of paying more attention to like underrated like R&B artists? Like that's what like kind of I didn't understand. I felt like for me personally, I kind of hit like a ceiling, and a lot of the networking culture is different in the UK, and this was just my personal experience, but like a lot of the people that I was meeting in the music business side of things, like maybe because music business isn't as big in the UK, like there isn't as much money, and I also, personally noticed that there wasn't much diversity. So for like, I kind of knew like most of the people that I was connecting with were in LA, and I just felt like they were having more conversations about R&B, and they were having more conversations about diversity. Not that there, isn't like still like a huge problem with that, but that's a whole different conversation. But in terms of like, I had never like been to California before, but maybe because like I grew up around a lot of Americans as well, like I guess I always kind of knew, that like I wanted to visit. So first time I went to California, after for like a mini vacation. I got to LA, and I started meeting more people in the music industry and being like, oh wait, like I really vibe with the place, the music industry, like people, like I feel like I was just really curious about it. And like in terms of like if you're an artist wanting to relocate, I think there's so many different factors, moving to a different continent alone or like, a different city, continent, whatever, is a lot of work. Like it's very, very, very stressful. Like I think what made it easier for me was that I really did my research, and I really made sure like pathed I paved my way in a way that wasn't like super intimidating. So, I like found this course that allowed me to study but also work full time in the industry and connect with people. So it kind of was like an easy way, and obviously, not being an American citizen, you have to worry about like visa and stuff. So if you're actually really wanting to relocate, that's you have to do your research. You have to, think about like what kind of space of music you want to be in. Like, have you really used all of the resources that you have in the space that you're in? Um, and like I feel like LA, in terms of like being an independent artist, can open up a lot of doors if you know the kind of space and the kind of people that you want to meet. So it's kind of like I feel like it really depends on the type of music that you create as well. And yeah, honestly, it is a lot of work moving to a different country, but if it feels like you're curious about it, then I really encourage a lot of independent artists, especially in London because that's where I was, like to just even come out to LA, like just visit. You don't have to move here right away, like just like stay for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, see what happens, and see if it's your energy or your vibe. Sometimes a lot of people move or visit LA and they realize, oh my God, I hate it. Like it's nothing like I thought it would be, and it is nothing like you probably think it would be. But just in terms of like music industry is centric here, the entertainment space is centric here. So, in London and New York, like it's more like corporate people are like what you see, but like in music in LA, it's like everyone is in entertainment. So it's kind of like a weird alternative universe.
I hear that still. Um, I'm just thinking that as someone that hasn't traveled too much, like my thing, I don't know if I've even told you, but I made a rule to myself that I would never leave this country unless it was for music. Like, so for the longest time, if I was stuck here, I was just stuck here. And it was like, it was cool. Like, I got to kind of understand what London's about, network a lot as well, kind of meet different people. And I feel like I realized that London, for example, as a music scene, is just close. Like, everyone knows
Hmm.
everybody. It is smaller, there might be less money, but when there's loads of money, they tend to go into the same kind of places. So it's a bit easier to like navigate and stuff like that, especially like once you unlock like a piece of knowledge. Like there will be times where I'll just be doing my research or like networking with someone, I just discovered this mad platform that everyone that's successful, they've been there, but no one really knows about it. Do you know what I mean? It's weird.
Hmm.
It's cool. Um, but then obviously last year, obviously as you probably know, I went Germany for my festival for the first time. And they flew me out and I had like the cool 4 day experience and just like seeing what it was like. And compared to what you were telling me before, because you were telling me about LA and how yeah, this is the place for like R&B, the soul lectiony vibes, like the smooth summer vibes. And it was like for me in Germany, it was like this is the place for the music I was making, which was like low
Hmm.
key jazz, live music, hip hop, and the people there, like the community there, was like a lot more receptive to kind of building that kind of sound. So it's my point is like for the first time, I understand what you're talking about. Still, like depending on where you go, like there's definitely a different vibe, and
Hmm.
um, I think it helps to just travel when you can, if you can afford it,
Yeah.
and just figure it out. Like obviously, me being stubborn, I decided to wait until a certain type of thing happened to me. But I feel like if
Mm.
you can get money to like, or like, different opportunities to like make friends with different people from across the world, it kind of gives you a vibe. Like, firstly, when I talk to you, like I feel like I know what's gonna happen when I go to LA, just a little bit, or at least I know like a little bit what to expect. And I just feel
Hmm.
like we're in a world where it's like there's so many ways to chat to people from across the world. Like you don't even sometimes you might not even have to go to the country to have an idea at least as to if it's the type of place for you. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if you
Yeah.
agree, but
No, no, I agree. Like at the end of the day, like I'm not like, you know, LA is great for what it is, but it's like it's all dependent on you, if you have a curiosity of like, oh, like I feel like I have a lot of listeners in Amsterdam or, like France or whatever, like go, like go find out, like if you can afford it, if you want to save up for it, like work for it, like if that's something you want to do, especially if you want to relocate out of wherever you are. And yeah, there's only one way to find out, I guess. Even if it means, you can connect with people that you're curious about, like, for me, I knew that I wanted to move to LA, and even though I was in London, I was hella networking with people out in LA because I was like, I just want to have a little bit of like concrete relationships so that when I get there, I can, use that seed to expand. So I feel like that's kind of like something that you should consider doing if you are thinking of relocating. And we have the internet, we have social media, like we're getting more globalized and more connected with everyone, so it isn't accessible kind of knowledge for you, even if it means like asking like what's the music scene like there, to people there, then it kind of helps. Like, it's all about research, right?
So yeah, let's move on from abroad talk. In fact, I mean, you lot, yeah. Squadron, do you have any questions that we have loaded for Sabrina? I want to pass the floor over to you lot if
Wait,
you have
I'm just
anything.
gonna I'm just gonna move real quick to a different place. Hold on.
Um, you got a fan in the chat as well, just so you know. You can hear me. I want to put it
I
on
have
the
a
screen
what?
for you. You have a fan in the chat.
I have a fan? Oh
Check the
my
screen.
God.
It's so cool. Thanks for sharing your sage advice. Sage, you know?
What? Wait, that's
Serious.
my friend. How did she find me? Oh my God. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm dead.
Cool. But yeah, we got to you know, I mean, I can continue talking. Not yet. I have a think still. Um, cool. In that case, then, I mean, yeah, I mean, this talk is about distribution as well. So let's talk about what you're currently doing. Um, let's talk about yeah, this. What are you doing with Telos?
Oh
Give me
yeah,
the
yeah.
the details a bit more.
Okay, yeah. So I started working at Two Lost in November. Um, they're like a very, very new tech distribution company. The tech side is very, very transparent and it's very like kind of independent artist friendly. You don't get a lot of distribution companies that kind of like first of all, you don't have to pay any fee. Like you get 100% of the distribution royalties and stuff. You can get it in advance if you want. Like what I do with True Lost is I help artists kind of like, with their marketing and their rollout if they need advice about, little things like anything music business related, they can reach out to me. I'm kind of like an account manager as well. They have trouble like uploading things, or any kind of questions they have about the platform. Either I can reply or like, I can connect them with the right, operations team member or whatever. Um, but yeah, I help pretty much with as much as I want to. So if there's an artist that is a fairly big priority for us, then we'll have like I work under our head of label services, so me and her really work really closely together to kind of figure out, if they have a marketing rollout and there's opportunities that come our way or opportunities where we can kind of like slide in and be like, oh, let me pitch to this person, whatever, then that's kind of what we do essentially. And yeah, that's basically just, another way that I try to support artists.
Mm. You know what? Let me. So I work with a distributor now as well, as well as you. But so let's break down what that is because I feel like I was
Oh,
talking to
right.
my yesterday, no, last week, and he was like, "Yo, T, you got a label now. How's this working? Like, what's the distributor? What is that?" And like in plain words, in my plain words, firstly, it's just like they just give music to the right places, the stores. I'll just say the stores. Obviously, back in the day, it would have been like the record shops. They'll get the CDs and they'll make the deal to put it in this place for this price. But in this age, it's like the distributor is a big, big, big part in an artist's release journey because not only do I give them the music to put out, just simply put it out, but I feel like because of the way the music industry is now, with like everything being more free flowing, everyone can like independent artists have like more options and stuff. I feel like distributors now, you lot are kind of like fighting to get the artists on your squad. So you're offering more stuff. I've noticed, e.g., with like the playlist and stuff that you were talking about, the campaign stuff. I mean, Yeah. Would that be a good, how would you kind of summarize the role of a distributor today versus,
Um,
yeah.
I think, there's a lot of different kind of distribution services. I think if you're at early stage of your career, like, like I guess with the distribution company I work with, there's kind of like no limit to what kind of artists we work with. So if you're a new artist, if you're like very established, like we're open to everyone and anything in any kind of genre. I know there's a lot of distribution companies that are more kind of exclusive about like who they bring on and stuff. So there's a lot of kind of like distribution companies like DistroKid as well that you can use like whenever you want. I think what a distribution services initially does is basically what you said. We collect your music, you upload your music to us, and then we bring it to Apple, Spotify, Amazon. These are, like a bunch of different stores that you want to distribute to, and a lot of distribution companies like what the product manager does. I guess like in my head, I like to think of it as kind of an extension of the management team. Like we help not only bring your music to distribution services and DSPs and stuff, but we also pitch it, to playlists. We pitch it to, so different social media outlets like Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. We, specifically help. My distribution company specifically helps in the social media aspect of things, so we can flag, like your content to like certain like reps that we have at TikTok or like even like SoundCloud, whatever, like Instagram, everything, YouTube. Um, oh, if you hear someone coming by with like it sounds like a drill, apologies in advance. But yeah, that's essentially what the distribution service does.
Cool. All right. Um, Here's another question, yeah. So when it comes to streaming and kind of live music, I wanted to ask, do people buy live music? Like live, like actual live sounding music that much anymore? Or is it a lot more like studio based now, like that people mainly want to focus on when it comes to releasing music? Like what's the
Um,
difference really?
I can't even say like which one is better because
Not
I'm
better.
sure that there's some. Oh, like which makes more money? I guess it depends on the artist, but like I guess most of the songs that come in are studio music.
T, what do you mean? Like, do you mean
Let's bring her back. Yeah, yeah. And I'll just yeah. Sabrina, we good,
Yo,
yeah?
sorry, my Wi-Fi died.
Don't worry. Let me recap the question, yeah? Because I actually didn't
Okay.
really say it. It was more basically back in the day, we're making music. When we're making the music, everything is organic in the sense that you'll get, if you want a piano, you're going to get an actual piano player because that's how music was made. You wasn't really getting synths and stuff like that. So my
Okay, I guess
question
you.
was really is like right now as a distributor, when you're receiving music, the trend, is it a live one or is it still kind of on the Cynthia side? That's what I was wondering in your head so far.
I'm gonna say it's a bit of both. I think as a business person, can I differentiate that much into the sound recording or quality? Probably not. So I would say if the music is good, it's good, right? Like that's like kind of my response.
That's calm. I mean, I knew you were gonna say that, but I've noticed like a lot of people though, especially recently, like it's been just a trend. Like, oh, I've got to add live sax, I've got to add live bass, live this, or I have to make sure it sounds like this or it's recorded this way.
Mm.
Otherwise, it won't be seen as like epic. And it's like, especially from where I'm working now at distro, a lot of the members they wonder about kind of when they're applying for money for their projects and stuff like that, they might put loads of money into this idea of having an actual keys player play live in Abbey Road Studios for their album. And they might not be at the level yet where they can even get the funds for that. Do you know what I mean? And that stops them from
Mm.
actually recording music and stuff like that. So I just wanted to break the ice, let people know that like it's not, it's just good music, it's good music, innit? As you
Mhm.
said. So yeah. Um, you lot, what are you lot saying? I mean, here's a. I know Perry, you definitely have some questions in your mind, didn't it, from earlier? I'm curious as to what you actually had um to ask?
Yeah, so just a few. So with A&R, do you find that it's mainly doing logistical type of work? So helping, like you mentioned, helping artists with their marketing rollout, doing account management. Do you ever just do the kind of creative stuff, like listening to an artist demo, giving them feedback, and
I
like
think that
artists?
yeah, so that's as a role of like an artist manager, like when you're an artist manager, you kind of take on like 11 different hats. So I definitely have been, I guess in A&R in a sense that like I've sat in on a lot of sessions. I've, I guess, if warranted and if the energy is right, then I'll be like, oh, I really like that song or I really like that lyric, whatever. So that is definitely a huge creative space and outlet for that in terms of being like an A&R slash artist manager. Definitely have had artists like send me, demos or like send me like videos, even voice notes, like, what do you think of this? Or, even when it comes to like the creative side of things in terms of like production, like I can, help kind of curate different visualizers, like, hire the right videographer, creative direct with the artist that I'm working with and try to, kind of execute their creative vision that they want for themselves and find the right team and the right people to kind of execute that. So also a lot of my job, I feel like, and what I enjoy is like because I love networking so much, I love connecting other people with other people. So if I connect with an artist, if I connect with a producer or an artist, I'm like, oh, I feel like you would work really well with this person, then I'm gonna, organize that session for them. And it's just something that I enjoy. It's not even something that like, I have to do, but it's like in the industry, you can kind of take on as much as you want, basically. So in terms of like the creative side of things, like it's an open kind of door, like for you.
Mm.
And in terms of having a network and being able to connect those with artists, are you able to think of someone on the spot who can help the artist, or do you have a kind of black book of creatives that you can connect them with?
I do kind of have like I guess, a community, I guess, that I've kind of immersed myself in and built myself and connecting the right people with the right people. I think it just is very organic. Like in the beginning, I did have like kind of like a spreadsheet of like everyone that I knew in the industry, and all of the artists that I knew. But now that like it's kind of gotten to a space where like it's just like there's too many. Um, if I meet the right energy and the right person, then it kind of just will come to me like, oh, you should connect with this person. And like, yeah, I don't know if that answered your question.
Yeah.
Okay, cool, cool.
Let's jump in though. Sabrina has the list. I've seen the list, man. Yeah. Serena, I feel like you're both like, because I feel the same as well, in the sense that like like the main people that you can go to for certain things, like they're gonna be in your head because they're active, they're doing work frequently, they impressed you enough, so they're always gonna be in your head if certain opportunities arise. But at the same time, it's a good idea to have a list, like have an Excel sheet. Remember, fam, we used to share the Excel sheet of
Oh
just
my
like
God, yeah.
I don't really use it too much now, but like we had lists just
I love spreadsheets. I love Notion. I love Google Sheets. I love it all.
so if you can get into the bag of just like noting who you're actually talking to and like what
Mhm.
their purpose is, it makes it a lot easier for you not to forget people and stuff. And also, I feel like on a opposite note though, it kind of helps you have a filter of who's actually in the community because when you're going through that list and you're kind of just doing the research, it's really long and boring. So for me anyway, in my opinion, you just grab a bunch of emails, slap it in the list of like people that you think are relevant, and then you might find that when you reach out to them, it's not really that
The vibe,
productive of an email or you might even get ignored. But at least you have the list of people so you can actually
for
know
sure.
who to put your effort into and stuff like that. Um,
Yeah. I think
yeah.
also another thing about networking is people underestimate how powerful it is to network across. So it's like, the friends that you have around you, the people in your community that you already have the energy with, you guys are your own kind of space and generation. So it's like the people around you will help you more than the people kind of above you. Obviously, it helps to, have mentor and like an advice and, like to have that kind of, I guess you can kind of see the trajectory when you see people above you that, you have connections with, because it's like, oh, I can see myself being that person. And that obviously is like amazing. But in terms of who's going to have an idea about what positions are open, who's looking for who, like more open-minded about like, let me connect you with this person. It's your friends and the people around you.
Yeah, I heard that. I always tell these man. I don't know if I told you about this, but every time I do say something to someone, I'll just be like, "Yo, if you win and you get an award, do you want to stand up with the award with your friends or just fair strangers that you don't even know? Just people that just that you paid £5,000 to get the work done for you, or do you want it to be your friends that like
Hmm.
love you, care about your progress?"
Hmm.
So I feel you 100%. Um,
Facts.
Okay, I think I have one question. Hi, Sabrina. Thank you for
Hi.
sharing. Hi, thank you for sharing from the point of view as a artist manager and also A&R. I think it's very worthwhile. I think my question would be for, as independent music producer, songwriter, sometimes it's very hard to balance because nowadays, just people create and manage and promote stuff at the same time. So they manage all of the things themselves. I think it's going to be very, very stressful to do that. What would be your advice for artists who manage their own creative work?
Oh, yes. I know that, it's really difficult kind of finding the right team when you're at that stage where you want to build out your team. I think what is really stressful kind of, like balance to create. In terms of advice, I honestly just think organization, be on top of it, know what you're talking about, educate yourself, read books about music
Mhm.
business, about marketing, about publishing. Make sure when you are releasing music that you're registered and that you're getting the money that you deserve. And I think, when it comes to deciding, okay, I think I'm ready to start expanding my team, like reach out to people in your own bubble so that you know that like they're kind of filtered. One thing about the industry is that because there's so many people and there's so many different personalities, you may encounter, especially as an artist or creative, that like a lot of people that are trying to exploit you, and vice versa. But especially something to worry about, like as a producer and stuff, but and an artist. But trying to balance the two is kind of, I guess, subjective. Some people are really good on the business side naturally. Some people are really good on the artist side naturally, and it's easier for them to make stuff like content and stuff. But I guess if you're at the stage where you kind of want help or it's like a lot, like just I guess just be persistent and stay organized and make sure you have a good community around you, even if it means asking your friend that's not in the music industry to help you, even if it's answering emails or going through like a rollout or marketing. Like use the resources that you have, I guess, around you to help kind of develop you, I guess.
Another question is, as you can see, I'm quite new to this industry. I'm from China, so it's a very different environment. What would be advice for foreigners who actually dive into the industry for the very first time to adjust very quickly? Yeah,
I think,
culture-wise.
yeah, for sure. I know I totally feel you on that. I think one thing that I had to overcome was like imposter syndrome, especially because it's like even though I sound American, like I'm so not American. Like I literally only came to America for the first time when I was in 2019. But I think in terms of culturally assimilating, like be patient with yourself and you don't have to assimilate. You don't have to force yourself into a different kind of cultural bubble that doesn't reside with you. Like, you want to be able to surround yourself with people that accept you for who you are and your difference and don't kind of like box you into one thing, maybe because they can't, digest you as like a person or a concept. They're just like, whoa, like what? Like, why do you speak English? Because I got a lot of that. But I think it's all about, again, I think the center of it is community, like making sure that you're surrounded by people that accept you and like want to see you thrive and encourage you and want to support you. So don't I guess, be patient and, don't put too much pressure on yourself to have to fit into like a certain kind of like bubble or whatever.
What books would you recommend for people looking to break in the industry that can help them navigate the business side of it so that they don't get ripped off?
I actually have it right here because I just keep it next to me. This one. Or
What's it
there's
called?
it's called. Oh, sorry. It's called All You Need to Know About the Music Business. It's by Donald Passman. I think he releases one every couple of years. It's kind of like an updated industry Bible thing. Um, Sometimes I just go back to it to read, but there's also a lot of resources. I think Song Trust, they do a lot of kind of like articles and like little like seminars or like PowerPoints or spreadsheets about like different kind of music industry stuff. I think I might be like more US centric, but there's definitely different resources like on the UK side of things if you want to learn about like publishing. Use the internet as well. Like everything is pretty much on there. And I also think, like networking companies communities like Wired for Music, like I feel like also probably have a lot of resources and there's different kind of like symphonic. I think they have a lot of resources there as well. But yeah, the internet and books like this and um, there's one I read a few years ago, but I'm literally struggling to remember the names about publishing. Um, but yeah, shoot, I'm totally blanking.
That's right. I mean, yeah, there's loads of books, and I remember you gave me a few, so I can recommend.
I think I did, yeah.
You gave me like 3 of them, so I can definitely recommend. But also, next week, random shameless plug. Next week, we're getting Marlon from Centric Music Publishing to come in, and he's going to talk.
Perfect.
His concept of that day is what the flip is music publishing. So if you need to understand what that is, that's the one to be at. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. I mean, we might as well wrap up in a minute, but I'm trying to think. Sabrina, do you have anything that you would want somebody to know in the beginning?
Ooh.
If something that you wouldn't tell yourself from the past, you need to know this.
Ooh. I think I would tell myself to be patient and trust in the process because, in the beginning, in terms of the music business space, it might be really difficult. So, like, one thing to know is that entering the music industry, the boundary is really low. Like, it's really easy for anyone to enter it. Like, technically, you just like even if you have a friend that's an artist, like you're in the industry, like the boundary is low. But having a sustainable income and like having the ability to live off of music business is the bit that's like difficult because it's so competitive and it's such like a glamorous industry. Everybody wants to be in it. I would tell myself to be patient and trust the process. If you work hard and you're connecting with the right kind of people in the space that you want to be in, like eventually, like it'll happen. It's just like it really is kind of like patience, a lot of patience.
Yeah. That's a nice one. And also then, for somebody that wants to be an A&R or a distributor, what should they expect from their role when they get started? Let's go with that first.
I think in terms of A&R and artist management as well, you can start that whenever. Like literally, if you wanted to be like, I'm an A&R, and then you just start connecting your friends or artists that you reach out to and be like, I think you would work really well with my friend that's a producer, all of that. You're an A&R. Like you can kind of define yourself, I guess. And same with being an artist manager. It's kind of what you put in it is what you get out of it. So you can kind of start that whenever, to be honest. And in terms of distribution, um, I think that's a whole different kind of field. There's so many different kind of components of the music industry. If distribution is kind of something that, you're interested in, then start making a list of different distribution companies that kind of interest you. Learn about the distribution side. You can look up on like resources and stuff, see it's something that you want to get into. And if it is, then start connecting with people that work at distribution companies, start figuring out exactly the different kinds of roles that they have. If it's something that you want to learn more about, then just plant your seeds wherever seems right to and shoot your shot, I guess.
Mm, that's one. And you know what? One more. Here's a curious question because when I'm listening to you talk here, specifically for the A&R one and the manager one, I think a lot of people want to know like where's the money come from when you're A&R?
Hmm,
Because
that's
I
a
want to
good
be honest
point.
with you, fam. I want to be brutally honest. A lot of people will be thinking, "Yo, A&R, I could do that easily." Anyway, if anyone can be an A&R, how do you convert that into an actual job that you're making money from? And where do you need to be at to get that type of opportunity?
I think there's obviously A&Rs, less so now that work at record labels, and then there's A&Rs that work at publishing. And between the two, it's kind of like day and night. They have very different kind of like positions. I don't know too much, like enough about the distribution. Sorry, the not distribution, record label. Um, I've never worked as an A&R at a publishing, but I know that like with my friends, because they work at like I guess kind of like not major labels, but like companies that can afford to have like set salaries for A&Rs. That's kind of where they base their income. In terms of like, I've never really met like freelance. I've met freelance A&Rs, but like in terms of the money side of things, it is kind of difficult to have like sustainable income, like working on it by yourself. And I think that's why, when you start meeting more people in the industry, they always have like three different jobs. So it's like you're kind of getting things from like different places. So that's why it ends up kind of being a lifestyle.
Cool. Nice one. Alright. Thank you. That was actually super helpful. I don't know if you guys have anything else, but I hope you got a lot from there. Yeah. And if you watched this, I hope you got a lot from it as well.